everyone, welcome to the Movie Session Show. My name is Fariba, and tonight we're about to watch Daredevil Born Again episode 4. So if I recall from last week, it was basically all courtroom drama. Matt Murdock is trying to defend a vigilante known as the White Tiger, and then we see how all that unfolded. Unfortunately, even though the White Tiger won his case, his identity was exposed, and we eventually saw what was ultimately his demise. It's kind of something that we anticipate was going to happen as a result of what Matt took in terms of like his defense. So the big question, of course, is going to be how is Matt going to respond to that? I think that's going to essentially be the catalyst for him probably going back to his vigilante ways. I mean, let's be honest, we're going to get to a point where he's going to start becoming the Devil's Hell Kitchen once again. Like, he's going to get back to that moniker at some point. I mean, that's the whole point of what the series is. That's why it's called Born Again. And so I don't know if it's going to happen this episode. I don't know if it's going to happen next episode. We know that we are still going to get a singular episode today, but next week we're actually going to have a double feature. So weird how things work out, right? So I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get right down into the next episode. So without further ado, let's get right down into episode 4 of Daredevil Born Again. Oh, they're at the morgue.
Yeah, me too. So 9mm to the temple, execution style, no room for error. What else?
The right side marginal abrasion. It's not on the body, it's not my problem. How did you get in here?
I want to see my uncle, Hector Ayala.
You're not supposed to be here.
Come on. You're a lawyer.
Come on.
You ain't dumb. He got in the middle of something. Busted up a fight with his mask off. Asshole cops were dirty.
We'll find his killer, okay? We have to believe it. You understand?
Is that the call for Mr. Daredevil? Oh, it's gotta be music. There we go. Now we're finally seeing news.
Routine is that? Absolutely not.
Dude, and working for Fisk is?
What can I say? I love the guy.
Oh, God.
Oh.
No, seriously, like this afternoon we're supposed to meet with the Clean Green Hollows. It's just...
Maybe just for a moment we can acknowledge the affair.
Stupid.
Affair?
A dinner party.
It's gone. I didn't know when or if you were ever coming back.
You knew. You know me. You know I wouldn't stay away.
You left. I needed to feel alive, not crushed down. When you left, you hurt me.
You never told me.
I never had a reason to. Fair. I never had the opportunity.
Why not? Did something happen?
Probably killed him.
Wilson, did you confront this man?
He probably killed him.
Yes.
He probably killed him.
We had a dialogue.
What kind of dialogue? And where is Adam now?
I don't know.
Adam just disappeared. What?
I want to go back to the first question I asked you during your... Based on the nature of our discussion today, I feel obligated to ask. Do you feel safe in your marriage?
Oh.
You gotta give her props.
My husband is capable of many, many things. Some of them extreme. Harming me is not one of them.
And she's not exaggerating about that.
Hey, look at this. I get the friggin' blind dude.
You got one of the best lawyers in New York.
Bring on the blind justice. Could it have been a scroll?
Nope. And the bigger problem...
So we're talking about scrolls.
You guys always gotta bring that up. What I did back then ain't got nothing to do with me. Blind man.
Loud and clear.
Then go out there and do your job and get me some probation.
Yeah, let me see what I can do.
See?
God.
See, that's funny. Because you can't see shit.
Wow. Blind jokes, huh?
I'm off the streets for 35
Come
days.
on, Sophia. You really want to prove a point over some stolen caramel corn on Latvian Heritage Day?
How'd you know I was Latvian?
Pretty sure you snuck a piece of honey cake for breakfast.
Wow.
It's a blind thing.
Wow.
I can imagine wanting to know a little bit more about that. Me too.
Thank you.
Oh, he better be appreciating you. Oh, did she look? Oh, she looked at you, man.
And I don't know nothing about nothing to do with what happened to Hector.
He's speaking the truth.
Here's something that I know. An attorney who assaults a police officer? Who obstructs an active investigation? That's something that the bar association...
To put it on the docket.
That's the first step.
Yes, sir.
Let's take that step.
Yes, sir. In the meantime...
I was basically gonna say everything that you did, so...
Sure.
She's right.
It tastes good. And for that, they're willing to spend 5 times more to lock me up than they're willing to spend to feed me. And you come in here and tell me that that's a gift? That I should thank you?
He has a point.
You're right.
This city, we built this city on rock.
Oh my.
We built this city on
Oh, I never would have imagined this for Vince.
Man, you gotta see this.
Just let it out. Daniel what?
It was me. I totally screwed up.
You did this.
It was a mistake. I went out and I
Oh,
saw...
you know what? I don't want to...
Oh my god, that's gonna be such an annoying ass song.
I'm not gonna fire you.
I'll pack my things right
But
away.
I said I'm not gonna fire you. Or you, you know.
Good.
I've been around a lot of, let's just say. Projectile.
Oh, he's going back to the site.
9mm to the temple, execution style.
Oh my god. It's dangerous. He found the casing.
I know you're in.
Frank! It's Frank! It's Frank. Oh my god. Oh, good times. Good times. Oh my, what's going on?
What do you want? Client of mine was shot, Frank. Guess whose logo I found?
You got a lot of explaining to do.
Yeah, a lot of them cops.
What's that got to do with me?
Yeah, nothing to do with you, right? Silly me.
Are you a service, Red? Did you serve? You pranced around the city in a Halloween costume, beating the snot out of bad guys. Hey, thank you for your service.
I mean, you could help people, you could save
That's
lives.
Frank that I know.
I was downrange, Red.
I didn't realize you were a victim in all this.
Damn, Matt.
See, that's word my entire life. You don't put it in my mouth. You understand
All
that?
right, so you tell me what's going on, buddy. What are you doing down here? Day after day, just hiding out?
I ain't hiding from
What
shit.
in
You
the
walked in
world?
that door, I'm right here. You goddamn right. But I do not have time for your candy-ass hero shit. Is that clear?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah?
Sorry to waste your time.
It's like a married couple.
I'll tell you what I think. See, I think you want my permission.
Permission.
We'll get your hands on somebody, huh? Won't hurt them. Maybe a little bit scared. A little scared about what that means.
Someone knows
Interesting
something.
take, I like it. But
Full of shit.
Come
You're
on.
So full of shit. You're guilty.
excuse me.
I killed that shit, and that's my home, Red. And I can see it on you. I can smell it on you. It's all over you.
I'm gonna
Do that horse shit about saving lives. How about that friend of yours? You save his life.
Oh.
You lost him, didn't you, Red?
No.
It's not about him.
Then say his name.
It's not about him.
He's eating you up because you ain't done a goddamn thing about it.
Oh, God damn it. God damn you. Sorry. I apologize.
What are you sorry for? First honest thing you did, Red.
It's not about him.
No.
Okay.
It's all about him. He talks to you, doesn't he? Hear his voice.
You do, don't you?
Every time I start moving, I start breathe. You feel good about that?
He got life!
How about old Foggy? He got life.
Foggy, purest soul I ever met. And guys like you and me, we could work a lifetime and never measure up to his decency.
Spinning. I mean, what if he fell into the subway tracks? Maybe somebody kidnapped him.
Kidnapped?
Maybe he needed a Heimlich and there was no one to give it.
I think he'll be fine.
I'm excellent at the Heimlich.
Whoa.
How's your day?
Oh, you know.
Oh, okay.
Few garden variety neurotics /
Don't tell me. Oh, don't tell me. Oh, there's that painting. Season 3.
Mr. Fisk.
Mayor Fisk. I was told forgiveness is the highest form of love. I wonder, would you agree with that?
Please. Fisk. Please.
Oh my
Please. Let me out!
So that's news. What in the voodoo is going on here? That was episode 4 of Daredevil Born Again, and it's not exactly my favorite episode. It's definitely kind of low bar. I know a lot of people are probably gonna wonder if this is more of a filler or not, but I will say this. It's not my favorite episode, but I like how it got better by the end. I mean, the beginning stuff it was getting a little pretty slow in my opinion. And that's where I was kind of like, okay, where are we going with this? I would say from the Frank Castle stuff and onwards, it's where I really started to get back into the gist of things. So, but yeah, I mean, as I figured, from this episode, we're going to see the consequences of Matt's actions from the court case. The fact that he exposed the White Tiger's identity and basically ultimately leading to his death. It's like, okay, well, this is probably going to push him to kind of go back into his Daredevil, persona, right? And we basically get a sense of him kind of going back to that as I would have predicted. So I'm going to assume that probably by the next episode, because next we're going to have that double feature, right? So I'm going to assume that it's going to be something big is going to happen. Probably one of them being the fact that he's going to go back to his Daredevil persona and see just the extent of how, I guess, how vengeful he would get. I don't want to say aggressive, but yeah, vengeful. Just how vengeful he'll get, very aggressive, just the way how he's going to react to becoming a vigilante again. So I'm looking forward to seeing those 2 episodes because I have to imagine that, they did that on purpose for a reason, because that's very unusual to have 2 episodes come out on like a single day, that too like midway through the series. So it had to be done for a reason. So that's just what I'm thinking is going to be, especially with what we see at the end of this episode. So, yeah, I think we're going to probably see Matt slowly going back to his Devil Hell's Kitchen persona very soon. And I think we just are starting to see kind of him getting back to that rhythm. So, yeah, but overall, like, as I said, this did kind of feel like almost like a filler episode, or I nearly felt like a filler episode up until maybe the last 15-20 minutes of this episode, just because once we got to Frank Castle stuff, then we really started to get the gist of like, okay, we're finally kind of moving forward. I love how we do get to see a little bit of Fisk and how he's not really used to the whole routine of being a mayor. The fact that he had to go and, you know, meet like the choir of like a middle school, and it's like, okay, this is like the last thing I would have ever imagined Fisk ever have to do in his life. So that was quite an amusement. But yeah, we didn't really get to see a whole lot of action with Matt up until at least the last half. But I will say, just seeing Frank Castle is great, because I was hearing like, what's funny is that I was hearing that we wouldn't see Frank until like more so towards the last 2 episodes of the series. Like there was like a whole rumor mill that was going on where, oh, we're probably not gonna see Frank until like at the later half because of the whole, you know, like the restructuring, the scratch thing, and all that sort of stuff. It's like, okay, sure. So, but we actually got to see him here, and I think honestly, just for one thing, John Bernthal still hasn't lost his touch as the Punisher. I was like, oh my god, this is the same Frank Castle. Like he hasn't lost a bit of who he is. I was like, wow, this is him. This is a Punisher. And of course, there was that whole, you know, report about a couple weeks ago, I think right before the series, that there was going to be like a Punisher special that he's going to be involved in. So I look forward to that. I hopefully will see a little bit more of Frank later in the series, and that, you know, all the rumors that I was hearing are not true, and that he's not gonna just be like a one-off kind of thing. I hope we do see him again. It just seems so that he was very effective. Like, I mean, he just see the relationship between him and Matt. It just felt like it was as if it's been like yesterday since I was watching Daredevil season 2, right? It just felt like they were a married couple, because they have such, you know, they have such polarizing opinions about what they believe in terms of justice and how they want to pursue it. And we see that here. And I think just him confronting Frank, and Frank trying to get him to really, you know, express his true emotions and realize that he's been holding off on this grudge for a long time. It's like, that was exactly what Matt needed. And I think that this episode with Frank was absolutely necessary. Like, I don't think there was like a moment that I was not like invested in that scene. Like, I was so glued to it. I was like, oh my god, just give me more. I want to see more of this Frank and Matt. Like, even, it doesn't even have to be a fight. It has, like, this conversation alone is all I needed just to be reinvested in the series again. Because, like, as I said, like, the beginning of the episode was kind of like, okay, well, we already know about what happened with Reyes. We know what happened with White Tiger. How we're gonna go move forward from this point. Like, there wasn't really a lot going on to push his character up until this point, and it's like, okay, now we're starting to kind of see where Matt might be reconsidering his whole stance on not being a vigilante, or trying to take that hiatus. And it looks as though that Frank may have been pretty influential, because I mean, I will say, for one thing, even though it does kind of feel like a filler, you can still get the sense of like what was going on, especially when he had to go and meet the Lero guy, and realize that even though he's trying to go by the books, he's trying to go by the system, it's not necessarily always fair, because it's always going to punish those who are always, you know, on the low bar, right? That they're the ones who are going to be the hurt most of the time regardless, and that's why they're the ones always repeating the crime, because of the fact that they can't get out of that system. There's going to be, I guess you can say, I don't want to say generational trauma, but it's like a whole system that you can't really get yourself out of, just because you're already such a low bar. It's like, what can you do to somehow amend, not really saying amend, but like to rise from that? And it's really difficult. It's really difficult. And I think what was going on here is just like a wake-up call for Matt. It's like, no matter what, even though you are taking the right approach, even if you are trying to do the best that you can to get the justice, sometimes it's just not going to be the case. And knowing the fact that there's now 2 cases, I mean, yeah, the Leroy thing was a little bit less of a, you know, a guilty situation. I mean, of course, the whole Reyes thing is one that's going to bother him for a long time, and that's probably what's just like he's kind of feeling like at a pretty low point, which could explain. It's like, you know what, maybe it is time to bring back the Red Devil, right? Bring him back, finally get the due justice, because it seems so that, you know, when he is letting the, you know, the law and the, even when the law itself seems to be on their favor, and he's doing it in the right way, it doesn't always seem to be the case. And I think we're going to probably see him come back as the Daredevil. Now, going to the whole Fisk situation, Adam, what was going on there? I'm a bit confused because I thought Adam was his son. Like, I'm pretty sure Adam was his son. Let me just quickly, because I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be his son, right? Adam, or maybe not. Maybe that's, I'm gonna assume that if there's anything, that's probably the guy who was having the affair with Vanessa, because he looked old. I was like, okay, there's no way that could be his son, right? Because, and I know he had a son because of the whole Spider-Man thing, so it's like, okay, I know he had a son then. So who's Adam? And I guess now that we know a little bit more about this whole affair situation, it's like, okay, Adam. And now that we see this older dude, it's like, okay, I'm going to assume that's the guy who had an affair with Vanessa. And I guess he imprisoned him this whole time. So looks as though that Fisk hasn't really lost his, you know, his old ways. Very interesting. He still has a lair. He still has that painting from season 3. Because if you all remember, that was the painting that Bullseye was able to get from that old lady, which was, I would say, probably pretty fatal. And at the very end, that was, you know, the blood spatter is basically Wilson's blood splatter when, you know, Matt was beating the shit out of him at the end of season 3 finale. So, yeah, so it looks like he kept that painting. Very, very, you know, personal safekeeping. I do wonder what's gonna happen with this whole Adam situation, because again, it's a hint that he still has a little bit of his old ways, although again, it's not like something that he's flaunting it out into the streets. It does seem as though that he's dealing with some really, you know, not so great public opinion, especially with the whole garbage thing and the union bust. So there's that. Yeah, I mean, there's really not a whole lot to go off of other than just seeing just how Fisk and Matt are trying to deal with as much of their normal lives as possible without going into their alter ego lifestyle. And it seems so that no matter what they try to do to kind of change themselves and to stick to kind of this normal life where it is much more civilian, it seems so that they both just cannot stick to that plan, and it looks like they're about to go into their old ways. Now again, I wonder what's going to happen with the whole Fisk thing with Adam. Again, I'm assuming that's the love interest, that's the guy who was having the affair. We'll see what's going to happen with that. I know there was at least something in the trailer where Vanessa has that dinner with Fisk at some point, so there must be something that's going to happen, probably in episode 5 or 6, something perhaps kinky. I don't know, because it does seem so that at some point we're going to see Vanessa and Fisk officially reconcile, and so I feel like it's going to happen pretty soon, probably by the next 2 episodes. I think the key thing is going to be Matt, just like how he's going to react. Will he officially go back to that red suit and become that nighttime vigilante? Again, it seems that's going to happen. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. I mean, it looks like he's already practicing his old ways. Just like, okay, let me just get back into the groove. So we'll see how it all goes. I will admit though, like the relationship that he has with, oh my god, I forgot what the therapist's name is, but I know the actor is Margarita. So I'm not really digging it. I'm not really feeling a whole lot of it. I think a lot of the issue is mostly because of the fact that we don't really see the two of them together, or there isn't really that huge depth between the two of them. Like, at least not in the way that I felt with Matt with some of the other female characters that we had in the past. I mean, of course, we all know Elektra. Like, I feel like Elektra is like the high standards. Like, how can you really beat that? So I'm really trying to dig it, but it's kind of tough. I feel like that's maybe one of the more weak points of the series so far. It's just him and the therapist. So I hope something will, you know, pick up from there, because I feel like that's probably the weak point right now, because a lot of it's been so focused on the personal growth or the personal arcs for Wilson and Matt. It's like we haven't really seen a whole lot of their other stuff, especially with the whole situation with him and the therapist. But we'll see. Again, there's gonna be the 2 episodes for next week. Again, we don't really get a whole lot going on. The fact that we got to see Frank. Frank is back. It's great to see Frank. I could not stop smiling. Just like, it was just like, it's like watching 2 old up couples, and it's just like brought so many memories of Daredevil season 2 when that came out, and it's just I still remember the 1 fish, 2 fish. What was it? It was like Money and Dime or something. Good times. That was such a heartbreaking episode, but. Yeah, I think that just about is all I can say about tonight's episode. Again, not a whole lot to really go off of, other than the fact that we're probably going to see a little bit of growth. I'm expecting by next week that, because again, we're going to have that double feature, that it's going to really start to pick up the pace a little bit, because I know it has been a little bit slow so far. It's a little bit of a slow burn, which I would expect just because of kind of the situation right now with Matt and him kind of giving up the whole vigilantism for over a year. So it's just something that's going to take a little slow. I mean, remember, Rome wasn't built in a single day, right? So it's going to take time, but I do hope that probably by next week we're going to see a little bit more of action, and that's going to probably pick up the pace, which is kind of crazy because after today and after next week we're actually going to be already halfway through the series, so we don't really have a whole lot of time left, which is like, oh my god, like time flies so much. But yeah, that's all to say about tonight's episode. I mean, not a whole lot to go off of, other than the fact that it's nice to see Frank back, nice to see that Matt's going kind of slowly trickling back into his Daredevil ways, and we're kind of seeing a little bit of Faith kind of getting back to his old ways. Now it's just a matter of seeing what's going to be next week. Let me know your thoughts having seen tonight's episode. Are we officially going to see him come back as a Daredevil by next week? What are your anticipation for the double feature we're going to get next week? We are seeing a little bit of Muse. I know he's kind of been trickling around here and there, but we did see that one bit right there that kind of seems really disturbing. I know I didn't touch on Muse too much because he's just kind of been there, but I wonder what they're going to do with him. I feel like by next week we're going to get a little bit more of his appearance and how much of a danger he's going to be. So yeah, we're going to see a little bit more of him, hopefully. Or maybe not, hopefully. Maybe it might be as bad. I hope we're going to see a little bit more of Frank Castle. He came back. I do hope that the reports are not true, that it's not like they're going to keep him off again, not until like the end of the series, so I hope that's not gonna be the case. But we'll see, and let me know if you have any thoughts, concerns, maybe something that I may have missed, something you want to discuss about. Let me know your thoughts below. Make sure to like and subscribe.